Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you. I'm bringing you this part two of participation following a couple of questions from colleagues across the school, how to implement participation, how it's tracked, what it actually means to the students and parents. And I hope to spend 5 minutes clearing up some concerns and helping you implement this, ideal policy for monitoring, tracking student behavior in a transparent way. The concern may be from a few of you that this could be misinterpreted as a barrier between teachers and students, more of a disciplinary than anything. But that's not what participation is, hence the name. So for the purpose of confidentiality and privacy, I've created a copy of my 10B1 class because you can see at the bottom, I have 10B1, 10B2, 10B3, DP1, and DP2. But for this instance, some familiar faces, Mr. Harry, Mr. Cassia, Mr. Wiley, Mr. Keith, and Mr. Lanning. So I'll start off purely with the student IDs. Why would you put these student IDs into the participation form? Well, in terms of building a relationship with parents, as I've mentioned previously, if I am going to send an email to Mr. Harry's parents, rather than asking him, what is your student number, and stopping the lesson completely, you are able to copy it and paste it straight into Gmail. And it's ideal for contacting the nurse or administration if they have a meeting or rehearsals. Now, rehearsals is important, and I'll get back to it. I touched on it in the first video, but I'll revisit this video. So first of all, points. This is per lesson. We've been through this together already. And comments. So in here, uniform violations, tardiness, and engagement. So he scored a 3. So this implies, because of the comments, I know that what would generally constitute a 3 is sitting quietly and getting on with your work, not really contributing to the lesson. But that's not what happened. With this student, he lost points for his tardiness, his lack of engagement at times, and uniform violations. So generally, he had highs and lows. But to begin our participation tracking, this is an ideal starting point, and all freedom to you. I can share this with as many of you as you like, to adapt it in whatever way you see fit, make graphs, anything. But for me, this works just fine. And Mr. Wiley scored a 2 out of 5 for multiple bathroom breaks, minor disruptions, and little focus or engagement. Now, it wasn't to the extent that the class was ruined completely, and my focus as a teacher was detracted from the rest of the class to this particular student, but the flow was interrupted. Now, I'm watching the clock. The weekly total, this is what you'll be inputting on Thursday evening. So Mr. Harry had an outstanding week, clearly an outstanding student. Mr. Cassia, 17, Mr. Wiley, 14, Mr. Keith constitutes a comment because 20 would otherwise reflect an ideal learner. Why did he lose points? Well, bathroom breaks and tardiness. Mr. Lanning, he lost points, but it was an incomplete formative submission. So the engagement that he may have been showing in class or outside of class, the contributions he could have made in the classroom were harmed because of a lack of engagement. Now, you can track homework submissions or purely focus on classroom-based assessment. Continuing on, watching the clock, 1 minute. The last 4 weeks. Why is it ideal to track a student across a month? Well, Mr. Harry, last week or this week, has been an outstanding student. And I remember him from this week. He was outstanding. So too, Mr. Lanning and Mr. Keith, great in the room. But if we jump up, previously, Mr. Harry's been at 75%. This is not an ideal. This is not a perfect student. So rather than being fooled by our most recent connections with these students made maybe in the lead up to parent-teacher conferences, I know that his focus was inconsistent along with his submissions. This is anything but what I was led to believe by this week's demonstration of his capacity. Also, some comments from the last 4 weeks on Mr. Casassia. Ongoing uniform violations and tardiness, submissions. And of course, I need to reiterate this not being homework submissions, but rather classroom-based exit tickets or main activities that you want to provide some feedback on. And again, you can see it. Great solo learner, struggles with teamwork. Your comments for narratives are writing themselves here. And Mr. Lanning, 95 out of 100, an outstanding student. And of course, you have from this week an incomplete formative submission. So there's no personal criticisms of this particular young learner. It's all evidence-based. And so when a student asks you, why have I scored 90%? I need 100%. Well, you have all of this information to show them, and you can produce this in whatever way you like, but preventing this from falling into well, a punitive measure in which you punish them and withhold this information only to reveal it at the end of the year, having this or displaying this with confidence to your class or to specific individuals could help build a relationship and help them work towards goals that they set for themselves or you set for them. And finally, the semester total. This is what you're putting into Plus Portals, this grade, one assignment for the semester on participation so that it doesn't divide the class. Because if Mr. Harry, for the last 3 months, 12 weeks, has scored 75%, well, that's a significant chunk across the year if every single week I'm getting 75%. So doing it once and then it's worth something to the class, but there's still that emphasis on classwork, on homework submissions, formatives, quizzes, and also the summatives. Now, I hope that I've cleared a lot of the confusion from your minds. And again, if you have any concerns on participation, please let me know in the comments section and I can get back in touch with you as soon as possible. But as I've said previously, just here to lend a helping hand. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in episode 7.